Good morning. Good morning. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We appreciate you, helping us have this conversation this morning. The online space isn't an easy one at all, especially with both the positives and negatives that are taking place. But it seems like there's quite a targeted issue that is happening in Sudan that has become quite hostile from the women there. Could you tell us a little bit more about this?
Yes. So definitely online space in general or public space in general in Sudan is very treacherous for women. But the anonymity of online spaces has proven especially difficult to monitor, and it's become a weaponized space for the military and for the Islamist party. So they very much would not like to hear a woman have any opinion that is opposing to the government's opinion. And that has always been the case. However, when it became now that we have a war, women in general are not supporting the war. They're supporting the peace efforts. They're mainly civilians. And the military wants to have women join the war efforts. They've opened camps. They're trying to push this narrative that this is a war for the dignity of the nation, for women. And so women speaking out and saying, no, this war is being fought on the bodies of women. We have a high toll of gang rape and like weaponizing sexual violence against women throughout Sudan since this war started, and even before that in former wars in Sudan, because women's bodies are not seen as autonomous. It's seen as when a woman gets raped, is seen as humiliating to her family, her father, her brother, and by extension, her tribe. So rape is used as a weapon,
Yeah,
and it's filmed. It's very horrific the way it's done,
sure.
and then it's put online to shame you.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about that. Do you think what's happening online is reflecting the way women are treated in Sudan on the ground in normal life?
Definitely, definitely. This war has brought the ugliest thing out, and that is lack of autonomy. The Sudanese law, even before the war started, before the revolution, the Islamist regime was very, very strict. We had something called the public order laws, which just basically are made to monetize the movement of women. So what you wear, what you do, where you work, who you speak to, it's basically was like a curfew on women in public spaces. That included speaking about any subject and wearing very, very trivial, archaic, medieval kind of laws. And so when the revolution happened, in that transitional period, women really pushed for the revolution, first of all. Their voices were the loudest. And that kind of upset the Islamists. And now they kind of have like a grudge against women and women's organizations, women's liberation in general. So they're taking all this out on women now during the war.
There is a physical battlefield taking place in Sudan that has taken place for many, many years. But there's now a digital battlefield in which we speak of, where there are quite targeted attacks on women on the on the social media space or on the online space. But who is orchestrating these attacks? I mean, it's one thing to say, I, for example, or Ben has hate speech towards me, I have hate speech towards somebody else on an individual level. But there are anonymous groups. That means, orchestrated groups operating in these virtual spaces. Who are these groups?
Uh, well, orchestrated online camp has been a tool of the Sudanese government solution. It's just that now, before it was religious minorities or ethnic minorities or anybody who opposed the government. But we have something that they call the digital warriors. And these were like very well known like computer bots that are in university campuses under the guidance of the Islamic regime. So they pick a target, they create an actual like hate campaign, and they go after that person, dismantling everything. But when it comes to women, because of the social order of Sudan, and because women are seen as inferior beings, it becomes so glaring. And they always go to like sexual innuendo and honor, and she's not dressed Islamically, or if they don't find that, then they go to like attacks on skin color and like promote just a horrible racist colorist approach. If that doesn't exist, then they go to phenotypes and they speak about so and so has a big nose, and they create nicknames of bullying. It's very vicious. And if it's an older woman, then they immediately go to age and say a woman at your age should be praying and shouldn't care what happens in politics. So it doesn't matter what part of society and what group you belong to, as long as you're a woman, they don't want to see you or hear from you unless you're supporting the government or you're trivialized into like a minstrel show kind of thing. So women are
Yeah.
supposed to only be entertainment. So if you're a woman who sings to support the military, they praise you, they put you on a pedestal. If you're a beautiful young girl who just says, "Oh, I support the army," then all of a sudden you become a star. And it's just like they want women to be trivial.
You know, what can be quite harmful about this? I know a lot of people say, yeah, we're just speaking about the online space. Nothing is really happening to you. But many of these attacks can actually leave the online space and go into your personal, personal physical space. And maybe we can unpack a little bit more of that after our break. So Jude, please stay on the line. We're going to take a short break and then we'll come back and continue unpacking these online attacks, but also what needs to be done. I mean, this is quite harmful, not just online, but it's harmful to the lives of women living in Sudan. It's 20 minutes past 9 Central Africa time. We'll continue this conversation after the break.
Africa, voici Abedi.
Oui, c'est moi.
Abedi est un passionné de musique dans l'âme. Il a un goût pour toutes sortes de musique et passe ses journées à écouter Channel Africa.
J'aime beaucoup la musique africaine.
Ok. Devinez quoi? Channel Africa veut aider Abedi et les mélomanes du monde entier à découvrir encore plus de musique incroyable. C'est pourquoi Channel Africa appelle les artistes africains à soumettre leur musique. Chers artistes, n'oubliez pas de nous fournir toutes vos informations pertinentes à l'email adresse musique@channelafrica.co.za. Les soumissions sont votre chance d'être entendues, mais elles ne garantissent pas une playlist. Toutes les soumissions seront soigneusement examinées pour voir si elles répondent aux exigences de notre station. Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
Palesa and Benjamin fuel your day with fresh African perspective on Channel Africa.
Hey, it's 20 minutes past 9 o'clock Central African time. You're listening to On The Move right here on Channel Africa. Thank you also for joining us on our live stream. People keep coming in and out. I see you, Exile Chawuya. I see you, Abraham Ngosa, Watson Chiona, and Philip Tega. Thank you all for joining us. If you haven't found us yet, go and check us out on our live stream on our Facebook page and also on our YouTube platform. We're talking about something very serious today. The online environment in Sudan has become a hostile space, especially for women, and it seems like it is now becoming a platform for bullying, sexual harassment, threats to women's safety and dignity. And we know that in war environments, the war doesn't stay in the battlefield. At times, it permeates into what's happening on social media. Helping us on this one is Sojoud El Garrai, who is a coordinator of the Human Rights Defenders in Exile in East Africa. Sojoud, let's continue this conversation. When you do look at this, it seems like the environment is already hostile in reality in Sudan because of the war, and the polarization comes from that environment. And the last thing probably a country is thinking about is what's happening in terms of the harassments online and in the digital space, right? So that becomes the last priority. Am I right to make that assumption?
Definitely so. So Sudan has been and is currently facing a famine. So all attention is going to the famine. And when women bring up the topic of we're being harassed, it's kind of seen as this is not the time. Like that's what we keep hearing when we talk about women's participation in
Yeah.
political parties. They keep breaking up, rebel movements keep starting political parties, and all of them seem to not think that women's voices are important. Not the Islamists, not the RSF, not even the civilian component. It's just kind of a boys' club, and they keep, you know, playing musical chairs with the country. And we don't have any women in leadership positions, first of all, because they just don't think women deserve to lead. And this war is exacerbated that because their first thing when you say we need to hear from women, women outnumber men in Sudan significantly because of the continuous wars. All you hear was no, women can't be in government in time of war. This is a tough time, and we need tough men to handle this. And when you speak about the mental toll that bullying take and the actual life consequences, so it's not just harassment online. So once women get targeted online, people keep piling on, and this has actual consequences. So women in the public eye have they had their passports taken from them. They are not allowed to have like state papers, any kind of papers. They have been stopped from traveling. Other women have been killed. So if people say so and so was supportive of the RSF, there is no court system. There is nobody to legitimize these claims or verify them, and you just get killed. And it's like public executions. It's not. It's and you get raped, and we see women being beaten on camera by the RSF and by the SAF. And it's just it's unreal life. It has real everyday consequences of this street. Women are not allowed to walk down here, and if you do, we're gonna beat you online to scare other women. So the whole goal is to kind of police women's movements, police women's speaking, stop women participating in public life, but it has life everyday consequences, and hundreds of women have been killed just by these accusations. And we have no court system. Right now, we're working under martial law, and it just depends on who's in charge at the time. And we also have multiple militias who just kill people as they see fit. And most of the time, these people they're killing are women, and they're killing them for the most trivial reasons.
You know,
And
there's
it's
a lot of
heartbreaking.
violence. Apologies there, Sojoud. You know, the sexual violence, this gender-based violence. There's, you know, rape, physical abuse, psychological trauma that all these women in Sudan are actually going through right now. So, you know, what is to happen in post-war Sudan? What is to happen to the women? What kind of support is needed and necessary for the women there, especially during this time?
Well, right now, I know many Sudanese women. We've started networks of psychosocial support for women. We are starting to open the conversation and the taboo behind rape and the cultural baggage that comes and the victim blaming. And we think if there is anything positive that can come out of this war, it should be that now, at least when it's such at mass number, rape and sexual exploitation, now can we please not blame women for it? Because we have a very clear blame the victim mentality in Sudan. So we're trying to create that space and dialogue. We're trying to get civil society to start speaking about this. We're trying also to push for women to enter the public sphere, to enter governance, even at a small scale, to have a women's agenda, to have a gender affirming agenda, and to acknowledge this, acknowledge the destruction and heartbreak and the consequences of this on women. Because the narrative right now is the RSF came, they stole people's, and they destroyed the infrastructure. Nobody is talking about the psychological and the mental toll that rape at this scale has on people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Nobody.
You know, it's worrying to hear that, because at the advent of the acceleration of the popularity of social media, we saw social media being such a positive interrupter, especially in war zones. Let's cite the Arab Spring and what happened there. It accelerated that situation where people could actually voice their opinions about governance in Egypt, and it actually spread in other areas in that part of the continent and the world. And also we see a lot of acceleration of information around what's happening in the Palestine and the Gaza scenario. But it's disheartening to hear that now social media is also being utilized to the adverse of that. It's actually accelerating hate on many, many situations in war zones. What's your take on that? Why are we not seeing moderation in these social media platforms? Is it because they don't understand the African experience? Is it because there's a language deficit of these platforms?
I think there is definitely a language deficit. The mechanism that Meta and these social media organizations have, they don't have enough oversight to and even the reporting, when it's done by bots, and people have learned, especially in Sudan, how to trick the algorithm into changing. So while you will say murder, drop the R in English, like Arabic has a lot of workarounds for this, because the algorithm doesn't understand the nuances of accents.
Yes.
And it works with standard Arabic, but even with standard Arabic, there is a lot of things that you can use. So people substitute numbers for the Arabic letters.
Yeah.
And then the algorithm can't read that as a threat. And so people are working around this kind of thing. Also, I don't feel like these social media organizations care enough and don't see that there is enough revenue coming out of somewhere like Sudan because of the sanctions.
Yeah.
So there is no spotlight on it.
Okay.
So,
So
for example, places
sure.
like
Just finalize your statement. We have to wrap things up just quickly.
yes, so I'm sure you guys are aware of the situation and hate speech that happened in Myanmar, for example, because Facebook went in as the only internet company. Then politicians used it to isolate people. The same thing is happening in Sudan. While the situation for women is horrific and tragic, you can compound onto that a real racial undertone and hate speech based on tribalism and colorism. And so it's compounded problems.
Yes. Okay, we have to leave it there, Sojoud. We've run out of time, but you've given us an elaborate picture of what's happening in social media and how women are affected there. Thank you for joining us here on Channel Africa.
Very much. Thank you.
That's Sojoud El Garrai, coordinator of the Human Rights Defenders in Exile, East Africa. What's your take on social media and how people are able to navigate the algorithm? Also, fact checking. People are able to also navigate how hate speech is being detected there. What's your take on what's happening on social media? I would like you to get your thoughts there. But let's quickly move on right now. It's 9:31 Central African time. Let's get the latest sports update.